Hello and welcome. You're watching BTTV. This is Market Today. I'm Tanya Aneja and with me is Shail Bhatnagar, our markets editor. Well, it's a fresh Tuesday morning and it seems that bulls are not really ready to give up. But will the momentum sustain going forward? Well, we'll discuss this and lots more. But first up, the top headlines for you. Indian stocks are likely to rally further as strong cues coming from Wall Street will strengthen bulls' grip on the steering wheel. Strong earnings, short covering and fresh demand for beaten down shares are the likely elements of Tuesday's uptick on the Nifty, analysts say. Very good morning, Shell. The Indian market, began the data-centric week with modest gains, all thanks to pharma and IT sectors. However, caution prevailed in the market due to the anticipation of upcoming inflation data and, of course, the RBI's monetary policy. So, where do you see Nifty now, and what should be the strategy according to you?
Good morning, Tanya, and good morning to all of our ever number of viewers who are increasing on a daily basis. It's a very nice Tuesday morning here in Delhi, and the mood, sentiment and fervor on Dalal Street is back towards the positive side. Tanya, as you rightly mentioned, there are two major news items that are likely to impact local sentiment. One is, of course, the RBI's credit policy, which is on Thursday, and of course the US inflation data, both on Thursday and our own weekly expiry. So it's truly triple witching that's likely to happen on Thursday. And before that, bulls are positioning themselves very smartly. As you will detail a little later, we are getting a very strong sentiment coming in from Wall Street. Both the Nasdaq and the Dow have snapped their 4-day downtrend and come up with very strong gains. Remember, yesterday our markets reversed after a 3-4 day fall, and especially on the Nifty, if you can see the daily chart, that is where we stand. The 20 EMA, the exponential moving average, which was acting as a resistance on Monday, has been overcome by bulls, and we closed at 19,600 yesterday, at the upper edge of the daily trading range, which was 19,620. So I'm hoping the kind of move that you've seen in Wall Street would be repeated here on Dalal Street. So the trend shifts to positivity. 20 DMA is a very strong support, and what's really interesting is that yesterday's close on Nifty saw a very strong advance decline ratio. Out of 50 shares, more than 35, 36 ended in the green, and that's improved the underlying, how should I say, texture of the market. In terms of heavyweights, apart from the banking sector, look at IT, TCS and Infosys were in the green. Look at Reliance, it ended sharply higher. In terms of other heavyweights such as L&T, Bajaj Finance, Hindustan Unilever, ITC, all of them were in a nice light shade of green, Tanya. So that was an uptick that I am really hoping for. So buy on dip remains the favorite strategy so far. As far as the gift Nifty is concerned, we are looking at a 30 to 50 point downtick, and should you see some stability coming at support 1 or the pivot for yesterday, which is 19,580, then probably this strategy will work really well. The options change suggests on the Nifty that 19,500, where you see very, very strong call writing, is an area of support, and 19,700 is the most immediate resistance that we see. Beyond 19,737, Tanya, should we be able to scale that, then the mood will turn intensely bullish on the Nifty. But between then and now, let's just say that especially for the Nifty, the trend is positive, and we hope for the best, Tanya.
Absolutely, Shell, and I also hope the same. The trend is positive. Of course, keep an eye out on 19,500 and 19,700. But let's talk about Nifty Bank as well, Shell. I mean, the index closed on a negative note on Monday, and Bank Nifty dipped around 42 points to 44,837 odd level, and Nifty PSU Bank also tumbled around 0.6%. So, what are you looking on Nifty Bank today?
So, Tanya, as you rightly mentioned, this was an index that ended in the red, although just about marginally. And what's really interesting is that the trading range has narrowed very sharply. We see somewhere like 600 to 700 points of intraday moves between the high and low as far as the Nifty is concerned, the Bank Nifty is concerned. But yesterday the range was just 330 points. So that basically means that the index is getting compressed into a narrow valley, and over time either it will break up or break down. But given the circumstances surrounding the index, you've seen the 50 EMA, which was acting as a resistance, has now been tested really well, and this is now a support. So this is, I'm hoping that Bank Nifty will also go the Nifty way, and it's following the Nifty for so far. Let's see how the sentiment helps Bank Nifty. Of the 12 stocks that comprise the Bank Nifty, only Bank of Baroda shows some kind of bullishness in its charts, but rest of the 11 are a weak to sideways consolidating phase on them. So not much is expected on the Bank Nifty. Even if it does nothing and remains where it is, that will be a help to the Nifty. And the trading range for the Bank Nifty is anywhere between 44,500 to 45,000. So towards the dip towards 44,500, you probably look at the ATM call, and once it tries to hit 45,000, you probably try to book your profits. So I would Tanya, look more towards the Nifty than the Bank Nifty for sure on Tuesday.
Okay, and what about F&O space, Shell? Lots, a lot of action happening there as well. So what are you looking at in the F&O space today?
So, Tanya, absolutely, you nail it rightly that there's a lot of action happening, and Pharma is the top draw. Undoubtedly, it's the index of the previous week which continues to rally very sharply. It's the flavor of the day on the Lal Street, not only for Tuesday, but for the entire previous week. And all that was triggered by Cipla's fantastic first quarter earlier last week, as also the news that there might be a very large transaction on Cipla between the promoters and a private equity fund. So Pharma remains the top draw. I am looking at Syngene. I'm looking at Biocon, 3.3% higher yesterday. Very strong traction. Open interest was 5% higher on Biocon at 263.85, and the delivery statistics are pretty good, 2x higher on Monday compared with Friday. Apart from Biocon, its sister company Syngene at a record high is doing very, very strong bullish moves. Volume, if you would, delivery, if you would see, it's a 3.5x higher on Monday compared with Friday. So very, very strong traction coming in. Open interest 2.2% higher. The stock closed at a record high, 841, 3.5% higher. So Biocon and Syngene in terms of the twins. Divi's Lab, of course, this is the most super bullish chart at the moment in Nifty. 10% open interest higher on a stock which is priced at 3,908. It was the top gainer yesterday, 4.5% higher, as also the delivery statistics 1.7%. Sun Pharma, Divi's are setting the trend on the larger cap pharma space, and mid cap is ruled by Biocon, Syngene, Aurobindo Pharma, Lupin, you name it, Tanya. Pharma is in top shape. Apart from that, I would look at Grasim, 1859, 2% higher in yesterday's trade. A decent open interest, 2% higher. It's the delivery that's attracting me, about 1.6x higher on Monday compared with Friday, Tanya. This is the wrap up at my end in terms of what I'm looking at the F&O side. On the loser side, bearish trend continues on Cummins, bearish trend continues on Vedant. So those are the two stocks that are likely to remain weak to sideways consolidating as far as the F&O is concerned. Tanya.
Okay, absolutely, Shell. And we have been discussing this new age tech space. So we'll come to global markets, but before that, there's one company that will be in focus on the back of course numbers, and that is PB Fintech. So PB Fintech, if you see it, the company posted a consolidated net loss of 11.9 crore rupees, which was 94% lower on a yearly basis. So my colleague Akansha Chaturvedi, she's with us now to give us more details on this one. So Akansha, over to you.
Good morning, Shail. Good morning, Tanya. And I see your new setup today, Shail. After a very long time, it looks very good. So starting with PV Fintech, like you said, Tanya, that they've narrowed down their loss to around 12 crore rupees, 11.9 to be exact, for the first quarter of FY24. And if we see that their total revenue stood at around 666 crore rupees, which is up around 31% from the preceding fiscal year. And for the last 5 quarters, the adjusted EBITDA has improved at an annualized run rate of over 200 crore rupees. And the company's new insurance premium of protection with health plus term has also grew at an 40% month on month. It's also worth noting that the core EBITDA, the company has been core EBITDA positive for the second consecutive quarter, and the contribution to margins has also expanded with expenses outside contribution inching up. So even brokerage houses are positive on this. CLSA has maintained its outperform targets on this stock. They've also given the target of around 890 rupees for this company, which is actually trading at around 798, closed at around 798. And if we compare it with its peers, other insurance companies in the space, say for example HDFC Life or SBI Life or ICICI Lombard, we see that in the past quarter, Policy Bazaar has actually inched up around 30%, whereas its peers are lagging somewhere. ICICI General Insurance is up around 29.2%, where HDFC is up around 18% and SBI Life is up around 10%. So when we talk about the insurance sector and the space, if you could also ask our guest what their take is on that, and how is PB Fintech maybe outperforming these traditional insurance companies? Back to you, Tanya.
Absolutely, Akansha. We'll do that, and thanks much for this for these details. And now our market expert is also with us, Kiran Jani, who is the head of technical research at Janam Broking. He joins us now. Thank you so much, Mr. Jani, for taking the time out and joining us here on Business Today Television. And I want to begin by asking you about of course, the technical setup only. I mean, we have had, a dream run, and then of course there was a bit of a pullback that happened, but market, bounced back really smartly. So what's really next for Indian markets, and what do the technical charts now suggest?
Very good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting us. So overall, if we check the market setup at current juncture, before that, I would like to highlight a few of the FII data. On cash side, we are definitely looking that FIS is continue selling. However, on derivative side, if we check that suddenly the put writers are getting that traction. Since last 10 days, we were seeing that put writers were not that active, and the option writing data was not lucrative towards to the bulls. But since last 2-3 days, we are seeing that put writers are writing more than the what call writers is written down. So currently, if you check yesterday's data, the call writers put open interest toward together is 1,72,000. However, put writers added open interest somewhere around 1,85,000. So it clearly shows that put writers are very aggressive. Coming to the technical setup of Nifty, Nifty has clearly pan out with the inverted head and shoulder pattern. We have observed the neckline somewhere around 19,500. Yesterday breakout has been given, and market rallied very good after that breakout. So our view is very clear, and the PCR ratio is also 1 point. It's trading above 1. So whatever dips come, it should be buy. The neckline is 19,500, considering the inverted head and shoulder pattern on intraday charts. So we are suggesting Nifty buy call. If any dips come somewhere around 19,460 to 19,500, our target is 19,700, and we are looking as a stop loss is 19,390. Coming to the Bank Nifty is also in similar fashion. However, I agree with Shailji that the Bank Nifty is in range only. 45,000 to 44,500. PCR ratio is also trading near oversold territory. So at current market, there is no favorable for the short seller. But if you are a risk taker, risky trader, you can find opportunity somewhere around 44,400. Reason being, 44,500 put writer is very strong enough. 1,80,000 lot is their open interest. So if any dip is come for Bank Nifty somewhere around 44,500, we should like to go long. Our prima facie target is 45,000. Once the 45,000 taken out, then we can see dream run on Bank Nifty also. And for this trade, we would like to have a stop loss somewhere around 44,340.
Right. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Business Today Television. Let's drill it a little deeper. You've given your views on both the indices, individual stock futures. Let's go one by one. What do you find, trading well on the charts on the long side, especially in the metal space?
Yes. So our today's first pick is from metal only. Nifty metal index. Let's discuss first. So if we check Nifty metal index, the index is trading about is all-time high somewhere around 6,800. We have seen last couple of days index facing a resistance at 6,800 and then pulling down pricing at lower level. However, the stock prices are trading above all the is important moving averages. And if we check the global skews, considering the dollar index or the US bond yields as they are behaving, we are expecting that the metal index should go up, and whatever the dip is coming, it should be the opportunity to enter into this market. Level wise, 6,500 is the very good support for the metal. Until and unless 6,500 is taken out, then we should worried or a little bit cautious. Otherwise, until 6,500 is not broken out for the Nifty metal, we should like to go long. Stock specific, Hindalco is the stock we are finding very much. Reason being, if you check the Hindalco daily chart, there is a multiple bullish pattern breakout. One is double bottom pattern, another is ascending triangle pattern. The stock price is also trading above its all important moving averages. If we check last couple of days price action, the clear cut classical technical patterns is panning out. The retracement and the testing has been done for Hindalco. And the momentum indicators are also trading into the bullish zone. So Hindalco, we would like to go long at current market price. 464 was the closing price of yesterday. Let's go long on that. Our target is 480 and the stop loss would be 454. So metal is our preferred choice and Hindalco is the stock specific idea.
Right. We'll discuss other stocks a little later. Over to Tanya to look at how the global market panned out.
Of course, there's positive cues that is coming in from Wall Street, Shail, and Asian markets. They are also trading in a mixed trade today. But what is now essential to track from these overseas cues? Of course, we have our eyes on oil prices as well. But what else, Shail?
Tanya, I would just look at the crude oil prices when it comes to global markets. We've discussed the Nifty, the Dow Jones as well as Nasdaq earlier. It's a 4-day dip that they cleaned out at a massive uptick yesterday. And like us, they are more keen to find out how their US inflation data is. So till Thursday, I would imagine you'll see the index sort of reclaiming the 16-17 month highs of previous February for both the Dow as well as Nasdaq. But till then, what's really the only number that I look at on the global charts is crude oil. It's dipped a bit, $82.15 per barrel, and that's something of a positive for us in terms of local sentiment. So that's the only number. The indices are in fine shape, and everybody is waiting with bated breath on what the actual US inflation data is, which 2 days from now on our weekly expiry day, we'll get it. Tanya.
Absolutely. And coming to you, Mr. Jani, what about your top picks? Any picks that you like, especially at this point in time?
after Hindalco, you have discussed about the new age IPO stocks like PB Fintech, Paytm, Zomato. We have seen this. These stocks are now becoming a flavor for the market. At current market, we also like to highlight, and our second pick is also about the new age IPOs like LIC Insurance. If you check daily chart of LIC Insurance, we can see a big rounding bottom pattern breakout. Stock price after the IPO, we have seen a drastic downfall on LIC Insurance. Current market price, if you see, as I mentioned, there is a big rounding bottom pattern. Including that, there is a inverted head and shoulder pattern breakout is also there. We can see the stock price is trading above its long-term moving average like 200, 150 days moving average. So India's largest insurance player, I guess now it is time to buy these stocks as a portfolio stock. Today we are discussing as a trading bet. However, we like to add as a investment bet also because if you check the weekly chart, the data is very limited. However, on weekly chart, you can see there is a falling trend line breakout on LIC insurance chart also. So for short term, you can buy. For long term also, we would like to enter as a add as a portfolio stock. So LIC insurance, we would like to go buy. 655 is the settlement or closing rate. We'll buy there. 680 will be the target and 640 as a stop loss we are maintaining on LIC insurance.
Okay, absolutely. And since it's the earning season, and Adani Ports, that is one stock that will be in focus, of course, ahead of its Q1 earnings. My colleague Pawan Nahar is now with us to tell us, more about the earnings and what to really expect from this particular company. Pawan, over to you.
Good morning, Shail. Good morning, Tanya. So, Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone is going to announce its quarterly results today. And the Adani Group company is likely to report a strong performance on a year-on comparison. Okay. And after a strong quarterly updates, particularly after strong volume updates from its port business and logistics business. However, sequentially numbers are seen on a mixed grounds. Talking about the numbers, Tanya, revenue which is seen in the range of 5,750 crores to 6,000 crore rupees, which is a growth of 15 to 19% on a year-on-year basis, while revenue can be flat on sequential basis. However, Tanya, the profit, there is a variance between analysts. So their profit is seen in the range of 1,410 crores to 1,890 crores, which is around 25 to 75% up on a year-on-year basis. EBITDA which is seen in the range of 3,325 crores to 3,665 crores, and EBITDA margins are seen in the range of 58% to 61%. However, they can contract 400 basis points to 700 basis points on a year-on-year basis. Over to you, Tanya.
Absolutely. And what about you, Shail? What about the sectors that you are bullish on? You have been talking about, pharma sector, and that was one of the top performing sectors yesterday. But what about today, and which are the sectors that you are bullish on at this point in time?
So, Tanya, like I said, the entire brain space of the market is now governed only by the pharma space, and that's where most of the action is. I don't see much traction coming into metals or even banks. In fact, banks are really weak. So pharma is number one, and I would be really bullish on the IT index. Technology, as you know, yesterday was one of the top gainers across the board. We saw rallies coming in into Infosys, TCS, the mid-cap space, which is KPIT Technologies on the cash side, as also LTTS, L&T Technology Services. I think those are the sectors that really count. In terms of sheer price action, in the F&O space, Birlasoft at about 451. There was a lot of short covering happening on this counter. Delivery statistics are pretty okay, but the chart looks excellent. Of course, L&T Technology Services, about 6% rise in the open interest, and the price is at about 4268. So these are the two in the F&O space. And if you look at the broader markets, of course, KPIT Technologies The stock is at a record high, so all caution needs to be sort of observed while taking an entry. But the fact remains that probably better days are ahead for both these stocks, KPIT and Birla Soft. Tanya.
Okay, KPIT and Birla Soft, keep an eye on that. And we also have with us now Mr. Sunny Agarwal, who is the head of fundamental desk at SBI Securities. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal, first of all, for taking the time out and joining us here on Business Today television. We were discussing it earlier as well, that we saw a pullback, then markets, bounced back sharply. So, where are the Indian markets now headed according to you, and what are the important triggers that one need to keep an eye out on?
Yeah, good morning and thanks for giving me this opportunity. So as far as markets are concerned, I believe if I go back slightly from December to Feb was a period where there was a total mayhem in the market crashing month on month. There was a deep, then March was kind of flattish, and April, May, June, July, 4 months, we have seen a ferocious V-shaped recovery. Now, what I believe from if I go by the market levels, which is currently wherein the Nifty is trading close to 19,500 levels, and if I take a Nifty EPS of 1 year forward, which is close to 950,000 bucks. So what I believe in terms of valuation, fundamentally markets are neither expensive nor very cheap, trading close to 19 and a half time price to earning multiple. So henceforth going forward, what I believe is that market is going to be a stock specific market, as the companies which are delivering companies which are likely to post a healthy growth in earning over the next 4 to 8 quarters, those companies will be rewarded by the market. So rather than sector specific, obviously the market is likely to be stock specific. But still within that, if somebody want to identify the sectors which are likely to be outperformer or underperformer, what we believe is that again, banking being one of the favorite sector, backbone of the economy, that will continue to deliver. However, one need to keep in mind that when last 12 to 15 months where the return which were generated in the banking sector, the same won't be repeated. So if ICICI Bank has moved from 600 to 950,000 rupees, don't expect ICICI Bank to move from 1,000 to 1,500. Obviously, the upside can be 10 to 15%. Though the expectation need to be tempered down in as
yes,
far as
Mr.
banking.
Agarwal, we'll look at your picks and your views once the pre-open trades are discussed. For the moment, it's a very, very nice, strong uptick on the Nifty, about 50 points higher, 19,638. Let's look at the stocks that are contributing to this wonderful uptick. Of course, on the banking side, State Bank of India 1.2% higher, 575. I see some traction coming in Axis Bank. Let's look at those. Of course, Divi's Labs is the top gainer, 2.2% higher, 4,000. Hero Motors just came up with an announcement saying that they've got 25,000 bookings for the new Harley Davidson model, and a large percentage of them are at the upper end of the price range. So 2% higher, 3,015. Axis Bank, like I told you, 0.7% higher, 953.90. A nice uptick on Bajaj Finance, 0.5% higher, 1750. Reliance in the green, 0.3% higher, 2532. Let's look at the other stocks in the F&O space apart from the index heavyweights. Okay. Again, Tanya, it's going to be a pharma day. The top three picks in the green are Divi's Lab, 2.2% higher. Torrent Pharma, fresh record high, 2.4% higher. Ipca Labs, 0.3% higher, 933. Bank of Baroda, like I mentioned, is 2% higher, 193.50. Nice traction on RECL, about 1.1% higher, 214. Biocon in the green, 1.4% higher, 265. Lupin, Syngene, these are the stocks that we had discussed before the pre-open dates took root. Nifty is now 42 points higher at 19,635. Let's look at the broader markets. NSE 500, what are the stocks in the green? Of course, it's the high beta, Tanya. IRFC 3% higher, 51.25. Policy Bazaar, Akanksha mentioned the earnings, 2.5% higher, 818. I see Westlife 1.9% higher, 951.90. Let's look at other stocks Gland Pharma 4% higher, 1405, and of course the highest beta of them all, HFCL 3.6% higher on at 7580. Nifty settling down 37 points higher, 19634. So it's a good opening. Let's get Mr. Agarwal back into the discussion and ask him what looks good fundamentally as well as technically in the PSU space. Over to you, Sunny. Where is the sun shining?
So definitely PSU is shining bright as of now, and within PSU what we like is that the recent appointment of REC PFC as one of the nodal agencies to fund the finance the renewable energy sector. So there is what we feel is a significant upside still left over there. And then after that, what we like is the capital goods or company which are focused on infrastructure side, such as RVNL, IRCON, or for that matter, Engineers India, which is again catering to the oil and gas conglomerate in the PSU and private on the private side. Within banking, we like banks like Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, where the asset quality was pretty good. Indian Bank, again, valuations are very cheap. The asset quality has improved significantly over the last three,
Mr.
four
Agarwal,
quarters.
let's
So these
discuss
are the few
individual
trades
stock picks. How about Engineers India?
Yeah, so that's one of our top pick as far as cap goods sector or infra sector is concerned. So Engineers India, what we have seen is that the order books is very pretty robust right now at 12,000 crore rupees, which is almost 3x the FY23 revenue. The annual profit which the company churn out is around 450-500 crore, trading at a less than 20 price to earning multiple. So what we believe is that the fair value of Engineers India is more than 200 rupees. And if somebody is slightly a longer term investor and have got an investment horizon of 6 to 12 months, he should definitely plow his money in Engineers India with a price target of 200 over the next 6 to 12 months.
Right. Let's discuss Engineers India in a bit of detail. The company, of course, is a PSU stock and has been doing pretty well over the last 6 odd months. If you see the chart, we had seen a low of about 74, 75 rupees somewhere in April of this year, and now at 149. Of course, if you look at the all-time high, the stock is about 270, but those prices were seen in the month of May of 2010. So we are far away from that. The most immediate high on the charts, on a monthly chart, is somewhere like December 2017, when you saw a price of 203. But the stock is on a gallop, and like all PSUs that have been under-owned and underappreciated, we've seen a very, very strong move coming in. But even at these levels, the price earnings is just 20. If you see the market capitalization, it's at about 8,400 crores, and the previous 12-month earnings are in the vicinity of 415 to 420 crores. Let's look at some other details. The trailing 12-month revenue is about 3,300 crores, and the company is debt-free. That's a very big positive. And it specializes, Engineers India specializes in drawing up refineries and projects for India's oil marketing companies, and of course has a very, very strong footprint in the Middle East. This was about Engineers India, Mr. Agarwal. Anything in the railway space that catches your fancy, which is already buzzing and could probably see better days?
So amongst the railway, I like RVNL Rail Vikas Nigam Limited. Current market price is around 125, 130 rupees. Recently, government did OFS also, and it was closed near to the price band of 121, 122 rupees. The current market cap is around 26,000 crore rupees. And if I look at financial number, FY23 was the year where company posted around 20,000 crore top line, 1,400 crore bottom line with an EBITDA margin of around 6 to 7%. And if I look at order book, it's a pretty robust, currently at 55,000, 60,000 crore. So this provides a pretty healthy visibility of revenue over next 18 to 24 months. On the top of that, company has recently won an order to supply Vande Bharat coaches to the Indian Railways. The commercialization of the same is likely to begin after 24 months. So that will again add kicker for earning growth in FY25 and 26 onward. So pretty long visibility in terms of earning for RVNL. Obviously, one of the key beneficiary of the Capex by one of the key beneficiary of Capex spent by the Indian government on the railways. And I feel that in terms of valuation, again,
Right.
it's trading very cheap. So at current market price, the market cap is 26,000 crore. And what we believe is that in next 2 years, the company has got a potential to deliver profit of around 1,800 crore rupees. So again, very cheap on valuation front, price to earning multiple below 20x, debt-free company. So what we believe is that the fair value of this business is around 200 rupees. And again, it should be part of your portfolio to ride on the railway growth story of India.
Right. Rail Vikas Nigam Limited is, of course, again a government PSU. It undertakes project development and implementation, as well as also provides resources for mobilizing this kind of a business. They do doubling of lines, gauge conversion, railway electrification workshops, etc. And Mr. Agarwal has very rightly pointed out it has a price earnings of just 18, and of course a price to book of about 3.5. Let's get Mr. Jani into the conversation and try to get a feel of how RVNL looks on the charts. Remember, the OFS was very well subscribed, and the all-time high that we've seen on the counter is somewhere like 140, 145. Let's ask Mr. Jani about his technical inputs on RVNL. Sir.
Yes. So if we check RVNL chart, recently we have seen a very super move on daily time frame. Stock price gave a breakout somewhere around 80, 82, and then we have seen in a very short time stock price has touched is 140, 148 level. Since then, this happened in May 2023. Till now, we have seen a stock price is trading into a very small range of 130 to 112. Last time also we have discussed RVNL. That was the day when the OFS is announced and action is going on. Currently, we are seeing that RVNL chart is very smooth. Price actions are taking a support at 20 days and 50 days moving average. Considering the daily chart price and the volume and the momentum indicator, we would like to go long. The stop loss would be below 120. And looking at current market price and looking at the rectangle pattern, if stock prices continue sustaining above 125, then there are very good chances that prices again retest its all-time high somewhere around 140. So looking at risk reward ratio and current chart setup, we would like to go long. I'm repeating, 120 would be the stop loss, or any level below 120 would be the stop loss, and target will be above 140.
That's a wonderful view. You can look at 140 on RVNL. Tanya, let's get back to where the pre-open has settled. So Nifty is likely to open 30 points higher at 19,627. The Bank Nifty settled 51 points higher at 44,888. Now the stocks that are ticking very well. Let's look at the FNO space first. Let's look at the broader market space first. So amongst the index heavyweights, amongst the high beta heavyweights, Policy Bazaar 2.5% higher, 818. Low ticket item IRFC fresh record high, 5125. Defense play BEML 4% higher at 2100, and it's Gland Pharma that's going to really shine today. It's settled 11% higher at 1500. Let's look at the FNO space. We still have time. The top gainers are Hero Motors 1.7% higher, Power Finance Corporation 1.2% higher, BEHEL 1% higher, 9765, NTPC. So it's going to be a PSU led day plus Pharma. These are the things that I'm able to discern. Within Nifty, the top gainers are of course Hero Motors, NTPC, SBI. and the top losers are very few. So Tanya, what's interesting is that Nifty starts on the front foot, 30 points higher. Out of 50 shares of Nifty, only 6 are in the red, and the gains are so minuscule that they don't merit a mention. So we are probably looking to now retain 19600 as a support, and the index will likely move up further. Let's look at how the market watch is slated, which is the heaviest weighted counters. So SBI is the top gainer, 0.5% higher, ITC 0.5% higher, Axis Bank 0.2% higher. I want to see what Reliance is doing. It's opening in the green, 25.26. So these are the positives. Anything else that you watched, Tanya?
Shell, and the stock was among the top loser yesterday, of course, after the Q1 earnings. And I want to come to you, Mr. Agarwal, for this. When we look at the kind of earnings that have been delivered by a lot of these FMCG or consumption companies, the slowdown is pretty evident in terms of volume growth. So what are your thoughts on this entire pack and on, of course, Britannia Industries?
Yeah, definitely, Tanya. You have rightly pointed out that all the companies have clearly mentioned that there is a healthy demand in the urban pocket, but still a recovery yet to be seen in the rural pockets. So although there are green shoots which are visible on the rural side, but everyone is hopeful that post this monsoon and in case there is a better crop, then the festive season, which will kickstart from the second half of this year, should be better in terms of demand environment, and everyone is optimistic and everyone is relying on that festive season for demand to move up. So what I believe is that if I take a near-term view, which is the quarter two, which is going on, so we may see again kind of a muted kind of earning growth in quarter two for entire consumption pack, and then maybe December and the March quarter will be a good quarter as far as earning growth is concerned. But if I take a view from a price point, whether there is a capital appreciation which is available in FMCG companies. So one need to be very patient here and need to accumulate quality businesses on a relatively faster clip. Some businesses are growing, which are like Tata Consumer, which we believe is
Yes,
relatively growing
Mr.
at a
Agarwal,
faster.
we'll focus on this in a little while. It's the markets that have opened. Nifty opens 20 points higher at 19,621. The bank Nifty up in the green, 45 points higher, 44,877. Nifty IT in the green and probably headed much higher, 64 points higher, 30,836. Let's look at the heavyweight space. Where do you see green tick coming in? So State Bank of India 0.5% higher at about 571. HDFC Bank index heavyweight 0.2% higher, 1654. I see TCS in the green. It's actually Infosys and Reliance that are pulling the Nifty marginally lower, but HDFC Bank, State Bank of India and L&T Mindtree are the stocks which are helping the index up. So this is as far as the heavyweights are concerned. Let's shift focus immediately to the F&O space. Biocon is the top gainer, and at the moment it's looking to gain a lot of traction. Apart from that, at 265.90 is what Biocon is trading. I see traction in Hero Motors, 2.7% higher, 3,034. Mannapuram about 2% higher, 140. Power Finance Corporation 2% higher, 272. Remember, these are index heavyweights. I'm so sorry. These are high beta counters that are doing very, very well. Again, let's focus on high beta because they set the trend. Let's look at Tejas Networks, 2.5% higher, 853. Zomato heading towards the triple digit mark, 2% higher, 99.50. I want to see what Paytm is doing. It's 1% lower, 844. And what is Policy Bazaar doing? 1.5% lower, 785. Apart from that, let's look at the PSU space, which is gathering sentiment on the green side. BEML, defense plays 6% higher, fresh record high 21.25. We have NIACL, which is an insurance play, 2.5% higher, 131. Let's look at IRFC, record high 51.60. Let's look at Dredging Corporation, 1% higher at 375. So the broader mix, Tanya, is really good. One look at where the advanced decline ratio is headed, and that will give you a view of the broader field. 3:2, 1000 shares in the green and just 900 in the red. The top gaining index, like I said, is the Nifty PSU Bank, 0.5% higher, 44.18. The Pharma index, 0.5% higher, 15,557. And metals likely in the red. So this is the broad brush that has happened in the market in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Nifty now 15 points higher, 19,612. 600 is being defended by the bulls. Tanya, what have you looked at?
Adani Ports, Shail, and the company will report its first quarter earnings today. And if you look at the stock price, it is one of the top losers as we speak. What are your thoughts, Mr. Jani, on this particular counter, Adani Ports, especially ahead of its first quarter earnings?
So looking at Adani Port current market price and the daily chart, the stock price has given a breakout from a big consolidation. We have seen since 2023 May month to January or to June or July, we have seen that prices were not crossing 750-53 level, and downside we can see that 720, 730 was the massive support, and it was a support from all its long-term moving averages. So after giving a breakout, the stock price is trading above its the peak resistance somewhere around 780. So chart patterns are very fairly strong, and we expect that until and unless prices is not breaking below 750 level, if any dip comes or even at current market price, we should go long because there is the ascending triangle pattern and the rounding bottom pattern is breakout. And looking at current market price, we are expecting target somewhere around 820 to 830. We have to give time to this trade somewhere around 1 month to 2 months. So Adani Port, I'm repeating, 787 is the current market price. If any dips come towards 770, we would like to go long. Stop loss below 750, and overall target would be 820 to 830 in next 2 months.
Right. Let's again look at prices, Tanya. Very, very strong move coming across the pharma space. The PCR will fire Cipla's chart, fresh record high. You are seeing 1242 on the charts. Yes, it's a fresh record high. Let's also look at Lupin. The stock now retracing its previous glory. 1088 is what I see. Dr. Reddy's is what is also ticking in the green, and you see a price point of 5710. The sideways move that we've seen over the last 5-6 days is now consolidating and moving higher as far as Reddy's is concerned. Zydus Labs, which is now at the moment trading at day's high 662, and of course the two very high beta counters, Laurus Labs well above 400 now, yes, 402, and of course Natco Pharma. These are the two high beta counters at 848.75. So Pharma is what is sticking very well in the green. I had mentioned to you Biocon. Biocon is also trading at day's high, and at the moment let me just bring out the price in front of me. Yes, 266.75, a strong bounce from its 200-day DMA. Tanya, what are you observing?
I think, Shail, we should discuss PB Fintech with Mr. Agarwal as well, because we have been talking about this space of late, and Paytm and Zomato stocks, they were on a roll yesterday also, but all eyes will be on PB Fintech today. And Street clearly not liking the numbers as we speak. The stock is trading 2% lower. But Mr. Agarwal, has the tide really turned for these stocks? And any picks that are on your radar, if we talk about this new age tech space?
Yeah, so definitely since last 3-4 quarter, all these companies have been guiding for either positive cash flow or EBIT level positive numbers, and all the companies are on track to deliver the same. And that is the reason we have seen a kind of swift re-rating in all these businesses during the last 6 to 12 months. But what I believe is that all the positivity is already in price for whether it is Paytm, whether it is Zomato, or whether it is PB Fintech. So some other businesses which we like within this category are India Mart, which may not be kind of startup but kind of ITES, where we have seen a very healthy recovery in terms of volume growth, in terms of the paid subscriber. One more businesses which we like within this space is Just Dial, for that matter, MedPlus. All these companies where which are delivering a better number as compared to Zomato's or likes of Paytm. So those are the businesses which we like among the new age businesses at the current juncture.
Okay, look at Hindustan Aeronautics. There's a sudden spike that we have seen, 1% up as we speak. Mr. Agarwal, your thoughts on this particular counter?
Yeah, so again, one of the quality business in defense from the government sector. But what we have seen is that a huge round of re-rating, stock moving from $1,200 to 4,000 rupees. What I believe is that at the current market price, the stock is fairly valued in terms of valuation. And I believe for next few months, stock will likely to trade sideways. And maybe when the street start discounting FY25 number, we may see some 15 to 20% upside in the stock price. As of now, I am neutral on this stock from a medium-term perspective. But if somebody is a long-term investor, definitely one can accumulate gradually with an return expectation of 15 to 20% over the next 24 months.
Right, Tanya, defense is something that you've really picked up well, and apart from BEML and Hindustan Aeronautics that you rightly pointed out, Zen Technologies post its earnings up 6.5%, fresh record high at 721. We are seeing MTAR Tech trading about 1.8% higher at 2273. Of course, you mentioned Hindustan Aeronautics. So 4 or 5, 6 defense counters really in the green. And apart from defense, it's actually Pharma all the way today. Very, very strong buzz coming in from the market side as far as Pharma is concerned. We have about 18 to 20 stocks in the FNO space as far as Pharma is concerned. Biocon top gainer, 1.8% higher. Let's get Mr. Jani in the conversation. Mr. Jani, if you can keep it precise to targets and stop losses, where do you see Biocon at the moment on your charts?
So currently Biocon daily stock price is showcasing as a ascending triangle pattern breakout. Considering that pattern, we can expect target somewhere around 300 in say for example 10 to 15 days, and stop loss would be somewhere around 254. So buyers are bullish. Any dip should be buy for target of 300 for next 20 days, and stop loss would be 255.
What about Gland Pharma, Mr. Jani? After the numbers, if we could, pull up that stock on the screen, the stock is up around 11% and it is, the top gainer from the mid-cap pack. And this is on the back of the first quarter earnings, though the profit fell 15% on a year-on-year basis. Revenue, it was up around 41%. So what would be your thoughts on this particular counter, Gland Pharma, Mr. Jani, and what do the technical charts suggest now?
So coming to the Gland Pharma chart, the stock price is trading at somewhere around 1500. Stock is long-term moving averages of 200, and also we have seen that stock price has given a breakout from its long-term resistance somewhere around 1430, 1420. So the bias is very good and bias is bullish. The falling trend line breakout is also there. So looking at chart pattern, we are expecting a long-term target somewhere around 1700. So if anyone is ready to invest for next 1 or 2 months, then should look for the Gland Pharma. current market price, or in case any dip comes towards 1400 would be the buy opportunity. Overall stop loss would be 1370 and target would be 1700. So we would like to go long on Gland Pharma on any dip.
Right. One stock, Tanya, you need to mark is Hero Motors. Over to you.
Of course, Shell Hero MotoCorp, the company has received more than 25,000 bookings for Harley Davidson, and 65% of the bookings are for the top end variant. So clearly, if we could pull up that stock, and you can see the impact 3% up as we speak, 3048 level where we are at this point in time. Mr. Agarwal, your thoughts on this particular counter? And what would be the right zone, I mean the right buy zone for this one?
Yeah, so definitely the kind of booking which Harley Davidson has received is really encouraging, and that is driving the stock price. But one has to keep in mind that recently there was a negative development with regards to the promoters of Hero Moto, and at that point of time the stock was under pressure. So although I believe at current market price it makes sense to invest and there is a value in the stock. The fair value as per our computation is around 3500 3600 level, and the kind of response which Harley Davidson has received, definitely this will be acting as a tailwind for Hero Moto in terms of earning growth also. So we are positive on Hero, but on a relative basis, the another counter which we like in the same spaces are TVS Motor as well as Eicher Motor. So both the companies are delivering a robust number, whether it is Eicher Motor both on RE as well as VECV side, and TVS on IC engine as well as on the EV side. So we like both these companies also in the two-wheeler segment.
Okay, and Mr. Jani, let's take a quick technical check as well. Where is the stock headed if we talk about near term?
We are talking about Hero MotoCorp, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So considering the daily chart price, stock price has retested its previous breakout level and 50 days moving average. Considering this with bullish biasness, we should go long on Hero MotoCorp. Considering daily chart price, there would be target of somewhere around 3200 and stop loss will be below 3000. So don't rush for the buy. Wait for the dip. If any dips comes towards 3000, we should go long. Stop loss precisely 2980 and target would be 3200.
So Tanya, the first 15 minutes of the market are now in the bag. Let's look at how the main indices and the broader markets have fared. The Nifty is still in the green, 7 points higher, 19604. Remember, the immediate intraday high was around 19630. Which are the stocks that are helping the index? So big boy Reliance Industries is now the top gainer on the index in terms of sheer weight that it is pulling up. The stock, of course, at day's high, 0.3% higher, 2532. We have Cipla, State Bank of India, and Hero Motors contributing on the green side as far as the Nifty is concerned. State Bank of India 0.5% higher, 570.70. Axis Bank in the green, 0.26 higher, 950. I see a mild downtick on ICICI Bank as also ITC, and 0.5% dip each on TCS and Infosys. Since Reliance is running ahead, I would imagine that this dip is likely to be bought. Let us see the first half an hour of trade. The most immediate pivot support is at 19,580 and of course the 19,600 level. Let's see whether that's defended. In the broader markets, Tanya, it's Pharma all the way, and you had spotted Gland Pharma right in the beginning. It's of course a pent-up trade that is exploding in front of us, now firmly above its 200-day DMA. Remember, the stock was trading at 905 somewhere in May of 22nd and is now at 1543. We've seen the PSU basket going really strong. RECL is the top gainer here as far as the low beta counters are concerned, 214.90, and BEML, HUDCO, NIACL, uh, GIC, Ray, all the insurance players on the public sector side are in the green. This is one sector that's doing really well, and of course Gland Pharma will probably be the stock of the day. Very, very strong demand coming in, up 10 bucks in the last 2 minutes, 1609. Tanya.
Absolutely. Remember, Shell, we were, talking about Britannia Industries and the slowdown that is happening in the consumption space with Mr. Agarwal. So, and we had to stop because of course, the market opening. So let's continue with that. And Mr. Agarwal, you were, talking about this whole consumption space and specifically on Britannia Industries.
Yeah, so as we have discussed that there is a slowdown in the rural belt, and that is still green shoots are visible, but still the recovery is far away. Maybe second half of the year during the festive season, we may see some recovery as far as consumer staples is concerned. And however, there is a still wealth creation opportunity which is available in the under-owned companies like Bajaj Consumer. We have seen a recent re-rating in a Jyoti Lab after posting a robust set of number. Tata Consumer food portfolio is growing at a faster clip, giving them a relatively faster growth in the earnings. So Tata Consumer is the one space where there lies a money making opportunity. And if I look at the other companies like Colgate, or for that matter, Nestle, Britannia, Dabur, here what I feel is that valuation are slightly stretched, and the stocks are likely to move sideways for next quarter or two. And after that, once the demand picks up in the festive season, then street may like to relook all this counter at that point of time.
Let's again focus on the pharma space, and this is for Mr. Jani. Fresh record high at Cipla, 1254. Mr. Jani, would you chase this price?
So looking at monthly and weekly chart, stock price is trading above its all-time high. Considering previous all-time high were registered at 1177. So I would a little bit cautious at current market price and would not like to chase this price. And definitely whoever is holding this stock price should hold this stock with the stop loss of 1200. And looking at current chart and considering the previous breakout, definitely we are heading towards 1300. But at current market price, risk reward ratio is not favorable. So for the fresh entry, I would like to wait somewhere around 1220, 1230. Stop loss again repeating below 1200 or maybe precisely 1180, and the target would be at 1300. So current market price, I won't like to chase the price, but I will wait for dip at 1220, and then I would like to go buy.
Okay, Tanya, there's a breakout on Power Finance Corporation. Of course, another fresh record high. The counters gapped up at about 276 rupees. Like I said, this price has never been seen before. I'm seeing a lot of block deals happening on my screen. Let's again press Mr. Jani for a price target on Power Finance Corporation. Of course, it's a PSU stock. Now moved from low beta to complete on the high beta side. What are the charts on Power Finance Corporation telling you, Mr. Jani?
So coming to the Power Finance Corporation chart, I would like to highlight the decade breakout has been seen on the Power Finance chart. PFC made its all-time high somewhere around 186 during 2010, and that high taken out last month, and we can see that in 3 months stock from 192 to 276. Considering this chart pattern and the consolidation, we can still expect somewhere around 300 to 320, but stock is in overbought territory, extreme overbought territory. So here also I don't like to go or chase this current market price. If any dip comes towards 260 to 250, then it's a buy recommendation. Stop loss should be below 240, and again I'm repeating the target, 300 to 320 target should touch on PFC.
Okay, absolutely. And talking about this PSU space, Mr. Agarwal, we have seen, some stock-specific action, whether it's RVNL, whether it's MassDoc or other PSU counters, they have really participated, in the rally over the past few sessions. So, what are your top picks from PSU space? Any stocks that are on your radar?
So definitely entire PSU space is buzzing. So within PSU also there are many subsectors which are likely to do well over the next 2 to 3 years. So one sector which we like is renewable energy financing. So REC PFC, one should look at REC PFC in the renewable energy financing. On railway side, the company which we like is RVNL. Another company which we like is on telecom infrastructure as well as on signaling side is Railtel Limited. Post this recent unfortunate accident of railways, what I believe is that government is likely to spend heavily on the upgradation of the signaling system on a pan-India basis, and Railtel is one of likely to be one of the beneficiary of that. And obviously, banks which are trading at a relatively cheaper valuation, whether it is Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, Indian Bank, those these are the few banks which we like within the PSU space. In the defense, although we have seen a massive run up in stocks like Mazgaon Dock or for that matter Hindustan Aeronautics, GRAC or Cochin Shipyard, but after taking a breather for next few months, I feel that there is still a lot of steam left if somebody is a long-term investor in the defense PSU space also.
Okay, and Mr. Jani, a quick technical check on NTPC. The stock is again buzzing, it rallied after the Q1 earnings, and, we saw then some sort of profit booking, but now the stock is back in action today. It's one of the top gainers as we speak. So your thoughts on NTPC, and is there, some steam that is still left?
Considering the NTPC, last Tuesday also we have discussed somewhere around 200 price, and we had discussed the target of 220. The price has achieved that target, and now if we see the prices has formed a flag pattern, it's trading below the lower band of flag pattern. So until and unless prices goes below 215, 214 level, the price this pattern is intact. So we would like to wait and watch, and it is a conditional buy. If stock price crossing about 220, then we would like to go long. I'm repeating, if prices is crossing about 220 level, go long, stop loss below 215, and considering the flag pattern, we can expect target somewhere around 240 to 245. So yes, there is a steam is still left, but wait for the 220 level to cross, then buy.
Okay, let's focus back on the index again, Tanya. So the first pivot level, which is 19,580, that's been tested on the index, and let's see whether you see an uptick from now on. It's already 940, so about 25 minutes of trade has happened. Reliance remains the top draw. Cipla and Hero Motors are the stocks that are contributing towards the green side when it comes to the Nifty. Let's look at other stocks that are contributing in this space. Please give me a moment. Yes. So Cipla, Reliance and Hero Motors, Titan and of course L&T Mindtree. These are the ones that are pulling the index towards the green side, and the weakness is coming in because of Infosys, HDFC Bank, TCS and of course ICICI Bank. Okay, let's now take the market forward, and perhaps this is the time to bid goodbye to Mr. Jani. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today, sir. And let's come back to the markets. So Pharma and PSUs, that's been the star performer of the day, and another stock that's moving in very sharply is Navin Fluorine, although it's a high ticket item, bouncing off its 200-day DMA 44.78, and now giving company to Hero Motors is another two-wheeler stock, which is TVS Motors. 3-day fall that's been seen since the mid of previous week, actually a 4-day fall, and is now trying to recoup its earlier losses. days high 1345. That is what I see on the markets. High beta Laurus Labs going full tilt now, very sharply up 408. Remember, you've seen these prices somewhere in December of 2022. So this is again the highest in 8-9 months, and high beta coming back like there's no tomorrow. Angel One, this is a broking firm, days high 1576. Let's look at how the stock is doing on the charts. Yeah, fourth day of rally. These are the stocks that are moving in front of me, and of course LTTS, L&T Technology Services, from the F&O space, 43.48, days high. The last seen this price was April 2022. So 17 months high here. Tanya.
Absolutely, Shail, and you know it's the earning season, so we should ask a question on that as well from Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, you know, 40 out of more than 40, I would say, out of Nifty 50 companies have already reported their numbers. So, what do you make of you know, the earnings that have come so far, and any sector specifically that stood out for you?
Yeah, so definitely earnings so far has been in line with expectation. But one thing is very clear from the numbers is that the street is rewarding company specific earning rather than looking at a sector. So what we have seen that earlier there was a disappointment in an IT sector from the large cap space, but relatively mid cap companies are reporting a better set of numbers. So companies like LTTS, for that matter, Cyient, KPIT reporting a robust set of number, and hence are getting rewarded also in terms of the stock price. So again, earning has been in line with expectation till date. Banking, a very robust set of number. Just to summarize, auto so far has been a very good set of number. So whether it is auto, cement or FMCG, all the three sectors are benefiting from the lower input prices. At the same time, the demand continue to remain robust for cement as well as auto sector. FMCG staple, we are seeing some demand compression on the rural belt. But if I see a consumer discretionary companies like Titan, or for that matter, any jewelry or apparel company, their relatively demand is resilient. So again, one has to be very stock specific rather than a sector specific in terms of earning. So I think so far earning growth or earning delivery has been in line with expectation, and Street is optimistic that second half will be a very good number, which will again give a kicker to the earning growth as far as financial year 24 is concerned.
Okay, absolutely. Shail, anything that catches your fancy as we speak? Any stock?
Tanya, like I said, it's IT. So the L&T twins are in full form. L&T Mindtree now taking up the baton at about 51.14. Very strong short covering happening here. Open interest is actually falling 0.4%. And we've also seen L&T Technology Services. This is in fact the top gainer in the F&O space as far as IT is concerned. 43.77, 2% rise in open interest, 2.5% rise in price. And all the stocks that we had marked before the markets open, Biocon days high 269.20. This is the top gainer in the F&O space. We had mentioned RECL and PFC in our conversation. Both of them are the top gainers in the NBFC space. Very sharp traction coming in Hero Motors. It's the top gainer in the auto space, and that's how the markets are at the moment. The pivot level on the Nifty 19,580 has been tested. Nifty is flat, doing nothing at 19,590. Nifty Bank is 27 points higher, again flat, doing nothing, and the rally has been led by the broader markets. HUDCO, this is a government financer. We have Hudco, which is now at 70 rupees. It's the highest level that we've seen since 2018 of March. So that's a very, very strong breakout that's come in. But this is the right time to look at the corporate part of the market. We are joined by Mr. Ajay Patil. He's the CFO of Cummins India, and the chart is in front of you. The numbers that came in a couple of days ago haven't been very well taken in by the market for 2 or 3 reasons. One was weak exports. Let's discuss this, Mr. Patil, in detail. What went wrong as far as the exports were concerned, and do you see any kind of recoup or reversal of trend that was there in the first quarter in the coming 2 or 3 quarters as far as exports is concerned, sir?
Hi, good morning to all of you, and thank you for having me on the call. I think the reason for exports, as we stated on the earnings call, is twofold. One, what we have seen, and if you bring in the context of how the exports have been over the last 6 to 8 quarters, you would have seen sequentially the exports have been growing up consistently. Second is that from a end market perspective, we have seen to some extent a softening of demand in few end markets, notably in Middle East, Africa, Europe. And the third thing is, to some degree, an inventory rebalancing is what we expect to be occurring in the channel, thereby impacting the quarterly number, but which are coming out flat if you look at the read from a year-on-year perspective. So overall, what we expect from a revenue perspective, this is not specific to export per se, but the overall revenue guidance that we are given for the year is that we expect us to be growing at the rate which is 2x of GDP. And obviously, if we have to deliver on that, we have to find a way to grow our exports as well.
Okay.
Mr. Patil, the numbers are flashing in front of us. It's been a fantastic performance that has come in both on the top line as well as bottom line. Yet the markets are disappointed. There's been a very, very sharp sell-off. Your margins have risen. There's been a sharp uptick on top line as well as the bottom line. What do you think is the market misreading in the numbers?
I mean, as you would imagine, I mean, hard for me to say what the market is doing with respect to the price. Obviously, in our conversation on the earnings call, we provided a broader detailed commentary with respect to where do we see our business shaping out to be, where do we see the growth opportunities are. And importantly, we also reflected that in the guidance that was given for the year. Hard to say what the market is reacting to, but from our perspective, all we can say is that our domestic revenue have been pretty robust in terms of how they have grown year on year, sequentially as well. No doubt, there was an element of pre-buy in it as the CPCB 4 plus norms become effective July 1st. So an anticipated pre-buy occurred in the previous quarter. And number two, now that the Central Pollution Control Board has clarified that we can continue to have CPCB 2, which was the previous version of emissions, those engines can be sold up until June of 2024. We do expect, to some extent, the revenue mix playing out between CPCB 2 and 4 for rest of the year. But overall, we feel quite optimistic with respect to the end markets, our core end markets of infra, data center, commercial realty, healthcare, hospitality. We see demand holding up quite well, and that's a reflection into the guidance as well.
Okay, absolutely. Good morning, Mr. Patil. Tanya this side from Business Today. The company mentioned in its call about the double-digit growth guidance for FY24. So can you elaborate on that, and if you could, quantify that number for us?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's hard for us to pinpoint a number to say that it is going to be an X number of revenue growth. But what we started to think about is in a context of where our end markets and how they are performing. So as I said in my previous comment also, I mean, the end market for us, whether it is infra, data center, rental, commercial real estate, healthcare, hospitality, we see the demand holding up, number one. Number two, when you see it from a macros point of view, if the forecasted GDP for India, and we can take the estimate that we want to believe in, but could be ranging from anything from 6.25 to 7 percentage point, and add the extent of inflation in the economy, we definitely would like to outperform that from our growth point of view. And we feel quite optimistic and positive that the extent of visibility that we have, as well as the momentum that we are seeing in the order position, and dovetailing that with the macros, give us the confidence of saying that we'll have a growth of which is 2x of GDP.
Mr. Patil, Cummins India is of course a very well-known genset maker, and it has been, how should I say, the flag bearer of the rally that we are now seeing in the infrastructure space. If you see your own monthly stock price, and my apologies, I come back to it again and again because that is where lies the story. From a low of about 200 rupees in the depth of the COVID pandemic to a high of about 1700 rupees, you've pretty much redefined the Capex-led rally that's come into the Indian economy. Would you like to sort of maybe look a little ahead, 18 months to 24 months time, and give our audience and investors a flavor of how do you see the broader Capex cycle working in India?
No, certainly we feel quite optimistic given the fact that over the past 3-4 years and even before, the emphasis of the government with respect to upgrading the infrastructure has been fairly consistent. Budget after budget, we have seen greater allocations being made to the core infra. In fact, last budget, there was a highest allocation to railways as an example. Then you take the actual matrix on ground, which is with respect to how much of highway construction happening per month. That has been fairly consistent between 25 to 30 kilometers per day of construction. Third thing is, with the rebound that occurred post-COVID from a consumption perspective, which also meant that the capacity utilizations in the broader manufacturing sector, that was, reached to a level where the confidence came in to say, can we start to see a private Capex cycle coming in? Based on the read that I have across different reports and different information that we receive, multiple sectors we are seeing that the private Capex has kicked in. What we are seeing though is that there may not be a big ticket announcement with respect to the private Capex, but at a small to medium scale Capex, I think, is happening across a broad spectrum of industries is what we see. So in summary, when you combine the emphasis of the government and the public Capex, which has been, happening year after year, and combine that with what's happening on the private Capex in a broad spectrum of industries, together is where we see that this momentum will sustain. There could be multiple growth factors though. I mean, one sector may grow faster than the other, but from a medium to long-term perspective, we certainly believe that the private and public Capex story will play out, given the aspiration of the government. I mean, if India has to become a 5 or a 7 or a 10 trillion economy, it is going to be a sustained amount of investments into a broad spectrum of industries is needed. And that gives us the optimism. Our products go into a wide range of end markets, and therefore we feel quite optimistic with respect to how the medium to long-term outlook is.
Okay, absolutely, Mr. Patil. Two quick questions. So, are there any specific supply chain challenges that the company is facing at this point in time? And also, if we look at the margins, the company witnessed a sharp 160 basis points on decline in margins, EBITDA margins, on a sequential basis. So, what really led to this, and what is the outlook going forward? if you talk about margins?
No, certainly. So talking first about the supply chain, I think the supply chain issue that we are currently handling is very specific to a certain range of engines, and that too for a certain specific electronic components, which are currently in short supply. What we see though is a sequential improvement, which is happening with the supply allocations that we continue to receive. So therefore, as we go into the future periods, we do anticipate to progressively have improvement from a supply chain point of view. Number two, you talked about margin on a sequential basis. I think we said that on the earnings call with fair amount of detail was, in the Q4, we had some one-time gain reflected, and that kind of bumped up the margin for Q4 of 22-23 fiscal. If I take those away and normalize it and compare to the Q1 operating profit, we actually see a good, I would say a modest expansion of about, say, 55 to 60 basis points. So therefore, a sequential comparison has some one-off. That's how I would summarize it.
Mr. Patil, your global CEO, Ms. Jennifer Rumsey, is in India and is, of course, meeting government officials across the spectrum, whether it is the Foreign Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, or officials in North Block. What are the kind of feelers that you are getting from the government when it comes to the infra space? Is there a specific project in mind that globally Cummins is looking to outsource from India?
No specific information per se. I think with respect to our engagement with the government is primarily to really look at on the structural policy side and in what manner we can communicate as to what Cummins can do as India sort of look at its aspiration to become a 5, 7, 10 trillion economy in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, absolutely, Dr. Patil, on that wonderful note, thank you so much for sharing these, wonderful insights with us and being with us here on Business Today Television, and all the very best for the coming quarters as well.
Thank you so much. Pleasure speaking with all of you.
Okay, back to the markets. Shail, well, it's a completely flat day. And of course, it's a stock specific action. Nifty is still holding that 19,550 mark, and if we talk about Sensex, it is trading at 65,900 as we speak. Shail, clearly it's a pharma day, as you clearly mentioned, and it's Cipla and Dr. Reddy's, they are on a roll as always.
Yes, Tanya, we are about to end the session. So 19,580 is the pivot level for the day as far as the Nifty is concerned. And apart from pharma and of course the IT space, it's the PSU banks and the small private sector banks that have started kicking in. So at the day's high is RBL Bank 222, followed by PNB 6125, Canara Bank 332.15, and of course Bandhan Bank 232. So the Nifty is not doing anything, but the broader markets keep on throwing up wonderful names in terms of great stock prices and far better market action. Tanya, over to you.
Absolutely, you rightly pointed out, Nifty is not really doing anything, but it's the broader markets where the action is happening and it continues to perform well. And on that note, Shail, as always, thank you so much, for being with us here on Business Today Television and for sharing this excellent data with us. So with that, it's time for me and my team to wrap up this edition of Market Today, and let's see how the action, pans out going forward. But you don't have to go away, lots more coming up for you. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, and also, stay tuned for all the latest market updates, and many thanks for tuning in for now.
welcome to Tech Today. My name